Happy Friday, December 1st, 2017. Sunday, I'm leaving for Two Harbors, Minnesota, which is like 30 miles from Canada, which, I mean, it's really not, but it's close enough. So I'm going there for a couple weeks for training for my new job, so there will be no podcast for the next 2 weeks. But I do have something that'll tide everybody over. We recorded a new beer frame a couple weeks ago that I've been kind of saving for a rainy day, which will end up being snowy days for me instead, but it's actually long enough that I decided to make it into two parts. So instead of having a podcast the next two Fridays, I have the first part and the second part of Beer Frame to put up the next two Fridays. So no podcast, we'll still have something. It's about working in or operating a pro shop, so there's good stuff in there for everybody, whether it's something you're interested in or whether it's where you've been or where you're at, can share our pain, or are just generally curious about what it involves. So grab a drink, sit down, and listen. We have a good time making the videos. Hopefully you have a good time watching. I recently joined Reddit. I was tipped off by a few people that my name came up fairly often in the r/bowling forum. So there's yet another place where you can reach me with comments or questions or just interact, period. I do have to say another huge thank you to everyone who watches my stuff. I said on last week's podcast that we reached 2,000 subscribers. Well, just a week later, we're already well over 2,100, and we also hit 600,000 total channel views. So I'm super happy that what I do has been so well received, and the support from everyone is pretty freaking amazing. And I do have to say that the more steam this thing gains, the more opportunities that kind of opens up for bigger and cooler stuff. And all I have to say right now is just stay tuned, because stuff could get interesting. My beer frame buddy Anthony doesn't know it yet, but we're going to be doing a live Q&A at some point near the end of the season as soon as I get back from Antarctica, USA, and can figure out the technical stuff. I'll be sure to give everybody a couple weeks notice. But I do have to say it will most likely be on a Saturday night. Now I know that college bowl season's coming up here, so I'll try to avoid any major sporting events. I realize that some of you bowl league on Saturday nights too, so we're not going to be able to avoid all conflicts with everything, but I'm pretty sure that this won't be the last time that we do it. So I was also asked on Reddit to do an AMA, which is what they call an Ask Me Anything. They did one with Belmo, and I went and took a look at it, and it was pretty funny. I mean, one of the favorite questions there for me was, would you rather fight 10 Norm Duke sized West Malots or 1 West Malott sized Norm Duke? So if you're interested in participating in the live thing, start thinking about your questions now. I'm also going to do that AMA on Reddit at some point, so I'll let you know when that happens too. I realized I forgot to do the whole what's in my bag segment last week. I also noticed that nobody noticed. So maybe I'll just make it I'll do it periodically or make it a short and sweet thing. What's in my bag this week, though, is the High Road Nano, the All Out Show Off, the Daredevil Danger, the Intense, the Matchup Hybrid, and my 4-inch pen ink. I did find out last week that the High Road Nano doesn't really fit that great as a house shop ball. It was kind of iffy on Monday, and then last night it looked a lot better, so I might just need to get some games on it. But it's likely going to stay in the bag for now. I've got some tournaments coming up towards the end of the year too, so, but there is lots of control, lots and lots of control. I keep expecting it to hook a lot more than it's going to hook, and it really shapes up a lot like the High Road, just a few boards to an arrow stronger, but it's not like jumpy or crazy or anything. So initial impressions are good. Something else I'd like to start doing too is sharing success stories. I mean, a lot of you will get back in the comment section of various videos, and you'll let me know that you got a ball and that you liked it, or that you had some kind of success. You set a personal high score, or maybe even honor score or something like that. And while I appreciate that, I'd also like to take that and share it on my podcast so that you get kind of a shout out. I'm genuinely interested in seeing people succeeding and getting better, or just plain having fun, and that's what I want to help with and see happen. So if you have any kind of success, or you reach a milestone, or or trying Storm or Roto for the first time, or just anything that's important to you, or if you come across anything interesting, just let me know, post a comment, send me pictures to add here or something too. This isn't just the All About the Luke show. I mean, if it was, I wouldn't respond to comments or even read them for that matter. I'd just do what a lot of other people do and kind of half-ass stuff so that they can keep their contracts and keep getting cheap stuff. Now, to be honest, the whole YouTube thing is starting to get pretty busy, but I'm not going to change the way I do things. If you ask a question, I'm going to answer it. If I don't, it's because I honestly missed it, but unfortunately, it might start taking me longer to get to stuff. So if it's a couple days before I get to a question, sorry, but that's kind of part of the deal now. And what I wanted to talk about today is exactly this. Too many people, especially in the bowling industry, it seems, but everywhere really, will work and they'll gain some success, and all the success will... all the success will go to their head, and they'll develop an ego, and then they'll completely forget about where they were at, what it took them to get to where they're at now, and they almost get bitter and upset about what they had to go through, and now they kind of treat it as a rite of passage. So if you don't suffer as much as they did, then you didn't really earn it or deserve it as much as they do. And you know, I've put in a lot of work and a lot of hours in the videos I make, and while it's fun and continues to be fun, it's pretty busy. It's almost like a whole second job now. So it's endlessly rewarding, but sometimes a little daunting when I know new balls are coming out and how much work that's going to go into getting the videos out. And I'm actually pretty relieved that the Sonic got delayed, because I would have gotten it today, and the rest of the day is booked, tomorrow's booked, and then Sunday I leave for Minnesota as early as I can wake up. And then I won't be back until after the initial release date of the ball, which was December 15th. I won't be back until sometime on the 16th. And then after being away from family and stuff for 2 weeks, and, you know, there was a little bit of pressure. I was a little bit worried there, because I kind of have a responsibility now to get this stuff out. So yeah, sometimes life happens. I know that you guys understand that. And anyone in the bowling industry knows it's almost always a part-time thing that just kind of pays you in every other way but money. And, you know, but this is one of the most anticipated releases in company history, and to not get videos out until after it's already been released, it just it's just not acceptable as far as I'm concerned anyway. And on top of that, I just don't want to. I don't want to just throw some videos out when balls come out and then walk away until more come out a couple months later. Because I remember being the guy a couple decades ago doing all the research and trying to sift through all the stuff. Because even in the early 2000s, there was a lot of stuff being made. I didn't understand the numbers. It was hard to decide. I knew nothing about layouts. I just kind of took it all to my pro shop guy and trusted that he knew what he was doing, and that was kind of that. Now, it's even harder now because it's all so mathematic. Buying a bowling ball is almost worse than buying a car now, it seems like. I mean, it's just like buying a car. There are salesmen everywhere whose job it is to move units, and there's a lot more guys who do everything that they can to just get the sale and forget about you 5 minutes after they get your money, than guys who actually care about you and what they're selling. Now, my wife and I bought a house a few years ago, and our realtor had been with us for 5 years prior to that. We were out looking at houses one day. We walked into an open house in a house that we had, you know, no business being into, but just wanted to see how nice it was in general, and just, you know, and met our realtor. Now, for those who might be in the area here, her name is Michelle Enk, A-E-N-K. And as a disclaimer here, sorry, I've got a lot of friends in real estate and stuff, and I don't want to upset anybody, but I've got to give her credit, because we were upfront with her to begin with. We knew that we were years away from buying a house, and we told her that, and didn't want to take up a bunch of her time when we weren't ready yet. However, she said that that was probably for the best, because this way we could actually take our time looking at a bunch of houses and finding out what we liked and what we didn't like, without any, you know, without being under any kind of time crunch or pressure to buy something now. So over the next several years, she sent us new listings weekly, and if we saw something we liked and wanted to go look at it, she'd take us. Now, realtors don't make money until they sell a house, and obviously the less amount of time they can put into it, the better, because that means they're getting paid more for their time, essentially. But she knew it was going to be years before she got any money out of us. And she still helped out anyway, and was pleasant and enthusiastic about it the whole time. So in the end, we found the perfect house at the perfect time, which was consequently quite a bit over budget. But we absolutely, I mean, we couldn't pass it up. Still very happy to send that payment off every month. Aside from the leaves, we have a lot of big trees that drop a lot of leaves, and that's unpleasant. But the point is here that she invested hours and hours of her time into us over 5 years, and when we bought the house, she bought me a bottle of Crown and bought my wife a bottle of wine as kind of a housewarming gift or whatever for finally getting into something. But if it had been a lot of other people in her situation, they might have chatted us up that day and given us their card and some excuses or some good advice like, well, you know, you probably don't want to start looking until you're ready to buy, because if you find something that you like and you aren't ready yet, then you're going to be disappointed, you know, just so that they don't have to waste any of their time on us until they were going to get paid. And I get that, though. I think that we all get that, especially in the bowling industry, where you just don't get a whole lot in the way of compensation. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of time and a lot of work for not a whole lot back. Sometimes nothing but that, you know, warm fuzzy feeling of helping somebody out. And so when it's overwhelmingly negative on top of that, it can take a lot out of you. And that's where it's hard to take the egos seriously, or to keep from reading them the riot act. Like, look, you're the opposite of what we need here. We don't need people hawking equipment and finding more ways to squeeze every last dime out of people, only to treat them like peasants after you get the sale. I'm never going to forget where I started. I'm never going to forget the people that invested their time into me, or to help me develop and to get me where I am now. And I'm never going to turn into that ego that walks around ignoring people that are less important than I am. I mean, maybe there's somebody watching this video right now who might be a great pro bowler one day, or a company rep, or someone who does great things in the industry, and you're not going to help anyone out by fighting your way up the ladder and then pushing people off of it when you get up there so that you can just enjoy being king of the hill or something. I don't know why certain people think that just because they're better at something than somebody else, that makes them a better person somehow. It is an absolute fact that every single person in this world is better at something than you are, or knows something that you don't, or face some kind of challenge or hardship that you haven't, and to marginalize them and look down on them because they just don't throw a round heavy object at some weird looking slightly less heavy objects as good as you do, it doesn't make sense. Now, yes, it can be frustrating when dealing with people who just don't understand certain things, or have a prideful attitude without the skill, and the kind of people who like to, you know, tear others down to make themselves feel better rather than just kind of improve themselves and get up on somebody else's level. Yeah, handling negativity constructively when facing someone who obviously doesn't know what they're talking about, but is convinced they do, is difficult. Now, this is where, once again, you just have to be better. Not be better so that you can have an ego, but be better so that you don't. So I appreciate every single one of you. I like seeing familiar usernames in the comments. I like seeing people that I know from Ball Reviews and Facebook and now Reddit, on all the different platforms. I just like talking bowling, period. So sometimes I get comments that make me scratch my head and that I have a really hard time answering without being, you know, without kind of teasing, because some are pretty funny in some ways that aren't funny, in some ways that are really funny. But at the end of the day, I'm not here to sell you equipment and run off. I'm here because I care about bowling and people, and remember what it felt like when I wanted to improve and learn and be included and hang out with all the hot shots. But a lot of the time felt like an outsider, like I was being excluded because I wasn't good enough or didn't say the right things, or like it was some kind of sorority or frat nonsense. But, I mean, to be honest, though, people hang out with people of similar skills or interests, and I'm not going to lie, going to a tournament with people who you know are going to help you win a lot of money is a lot of fun. It's awesome to sign up and feel like you're seriously going to contend, and that's how I have fun most of the time. But I remember what it was like to wish for that. I wanted to be the guy walking into a tournament with a douchey jersey on and a douchey backpack and 12 bowling balls, and be on a first-name basis with the tournament director and all the people running the brackets, and have people brown-nosing and sucking up to me. But I wanted to be that guy without being the total douche package. So all the douchey stuff without actually being a douche myself, if that makes sense. There's enough egos in bowling without you or I adding one more to the group, and I do feel bad about sometimes taking a day or two to answer comments or questions, because this thing is getting bigger, and with that comes more comments and more questions. And if nothing else, I wanted to reinforce that I'm not getting a big head from all this. I mean, I kind of am, but I'm not going to lie, you all are pretty awesome, and you make me feel pretty awesome too. But I don't ever want to get to the point where I'm issuing short little cliche answers just to get through the stack and be done with it. It might take me longer to get back to you the bigger all this gets. That's just how it goes. But let it be known that I carry a considerable amount of concern with me for being as awesome back to you as all of you are to me. And it also kind of serves as a challenge to all of you that no matter how good you are at something, don't forget the little guy, because they might be as good or better than you and just haven't gotten there yet. So help other people get to your level, give them a chance, and you never know what might happen. That's going to wrap it up today. Like I said, 2-part episode of Beer Frame coming. First part next Friday, second part the Friday after that, and then I will be back to my regularly scheduled schedule on December 22nd. Thanks for watching.